It's been said that better questions lead us naturally to better answers, and that it's in not knowing that we open the doorway to knowing. I'm Scott Lennox, and you're listening to The Beautiful Question, a consideration of things that truly matter in a complex world. Years ago, a retired U.S. Navy fighter pilot and former prisoner of war in Vietnam touched my heart and raised my awareness in at least two ways. Join me this week as we consider the importance of mental focus and as we ask how it is that we've been able to get where we are in our lives. While working as a part-time counselor and teacher at a school for students with learning differences more than 20 years ago, we took our young charges to a dramatic presentation by a retired naval officer and former POW, Captain Charles Plum, known to his colleagues as the Plumber. I couldn't possibly foresee how strongly his message would affect me, but it did. Two things stood out in particular. One was the quality and strength of his mental focus during his captivity. The other was a surprising insight that happened after he was liberated. 5 days before the end of his scheduled tour as a Navy fighter pilot in the war in Vietnam, Captain Plum's F-4 Phantom was shot down by a surface-to-air missile. Though he did his best to evade the enemy, he was captured and spent 6 years in the infamous Hoa Lo prison in North Vietnam. Hoa Lo is a Vietnamese phrase that means fiery furnace. You may have heard of the place, referred to by its euphemistic name, the Hanoi Hilton. Dressed in Vietnamese prisoner-of-war pajamas, Plum paced back and forth on a small and dimly lit stage with his eyes closed, simulating the measured steps he took inside his 8 by 8 by 8 foot concrete cell. As he paced, he described how he intentionally took control of his thinking to keep from losing his sanity in the face of relentless efforts by his captors to break him. Day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, in the most intricate detail, he caused himself to mentally bring back everything he could possibly remember as a way of keeping his mind active and focused. He chose to take active command of his mind instead of losing it altogether to the insanity of war. He remembered growing up and going to high school and college. He vividly remembered every detail of learning how to fly and missions he had flown. He remembered meeting the woman who would become his wife, their courtship, their wedding and honeymoon, and the birth of their children. He recalled poems he had memorized. He carefully brought to mind stories he had read and movies he had watched. He solved intricate math problems. Step by step and stroke by stroke, he played games of golf in his mind, taking note of the outstanding features on the courses on which he played. And of course, he remembered the night he was shot down and looking up into the night sky and seeing his parachute open as he descended, safely bringing him to the ground. Driving home his point, he assured our students that focusing his mind had made the difference between surviving a terrible circumstance and allowing himself to go completely mad. Not long after meeting him, I thought about the statement by the writer Virginia Woolf, "Lock up your libraries if you like, but there is no gate, no lock, no bolt you can set upon the freedom of my mind." I can't say if Plum ever read her work, but I can say he created an expansive mental freedom during a time of extreme imprisonment. The other standout that morning with Captain Plum came at the end of his presentation. After he was released, he learned that the military had had him pronounced dead, and that his wife of many years had grieved and then had remarried. In time, he began a new relationship and was sitting with his new wife in a restaurant when a man walked up to him. "Are you Captain Charles Plum?" the man asked. "I am," Plum responded. Do I know you?" "No, but you flew Phantoms off the USS Kitty Hawk, didn't you?" "I did," Plum answered, now standing up. Did we fly together?" "Oh, no, sir," the man said. "I was on the Kitty Hawk with you, but I was down in the belly of the ship. I packed your parachute every day." Startled, Plum said that he had tears streaming down his face as he embraced the man. It suddenly occurred to him that as grateful as he was that his parachute had opened that night, and that he had seen it billowing above him in the night sky, not once during his captivity did he ever think to ask, "Who packed my parachute? Who was that?" All these years later, his question stays with me as I ask myself, who helped me get this far in my life? What people made it possible for me to safely get back to the ground when I've gone through some of the most overwhelming challenges? Who have been the people who packed my parachute so skillfully that I've been able to land on my feet over and over and over again? I have so many people to thank, and I'm grateful to each of them, though some of them are long gone. This week, I offer the Plumber's lessons as a way of helping each of us to live in more effective ways. The first beautiful questions are about mental focus. 1. What positively changes in my life when I am intentional and purposeful about controlling what thoughts are passing through my awareness? 2. What can I do today to be more mindful of what I'm thinking? And 3. What thoughts or ideas would be good for me to use today as points of focus? The next 3 questions are about the awareness of our parachute packers. 1. Who are some of the people who set me up successfully to be where I am today? 2. What specific things did they do or did they offer to me that helped me? And 3. Whose parachute am I packing today, and how am I doing that? I continue to be fascinated by what happens when we're intentional about our awareness of these 2 things. As you sit with this week's questions, I'd love to hear what arises in your awareness and what changes you're making. Happy landings. As I say each week, my light with your light. Thank you once again for listening. I'm always inspired by our collaboration as we work and play together, building better lives and better possibilities for ourselves, for one another, for the world, and for our beautiful planet home. I look forward to your comments and your feedback. You can also be inspired by visiting my good friends at Cosmos Journal. That's KOSMOS Journal. Their mission is to inform, inspire, and engage global transformation in harmony with all life. You can easily find them online at cosmosjournal.org. And as always, you can find my free podcasts and guided relaxation audios by searching for The Beautiful Question in Apple Podcasts or in SoundCloud or CastBox, or by visiting the podcast page of my website at scottlennox.com. If you find them useful or encouraging, don't hesitate to share them. I'm Scott Lennox, and this has been The Beautiful Question. The Beautiful Question is a One Light production, written, recorded, produced, and funded by Scott Lennox at Heart Rock Studios in Fort Worth, Texas, as a way of paying forward to life, being fully present, becoming better engaged with things that truly matter in a complex world, and committing to a healthier future for all of us.